A lack of income inequality is one of the biggest issues facing America today, but don't tell that to Joe Lhota. Lhota is the former chairman of the New York Metropolitan Transit Authority. He's the current New York City Republican mayoral candidate. And he doesn't think that income inequality, a lack of income equality, is a problem for the Big Apple, even though the problem is staring him right in the face. On MSNBC's Morning Joe Friday, when asked by Sam Stein if income inequality in New York City was a problem, Lhota said, no, I don't think it's a problem. You said, does it exist? It exists. I don't think it's a problem. I don't think it's a problem. And it exists. In reality, a lack of income equality is a huge problem in New York City. The latest census data shows that while the economy is still recovering from the 2008 recession, the poverty rate in New York City has increased from 21.2% of households in 2012 to 20.2, up from 21.2. It's gone up 1.1 point, okay, in just 2 years. And the gap between that city's poorest fifth of residents and the wealthiest fifth is around 50-fold, one of the largest gaps in the country. Unfortunately, a lack of income equality is not just a problem in New York City. It's a problem all across the country. Yale University economist Robert Schiller said, the most important problem, I'm quoting, the most important problem that we are facing today is rising inequality in the United States and elsewhere in the world. Just consider this. Right now, the 400 richest Americans have more wealth than the bottom 150 million Americans. Yeah, 400 individuals have more money than the bottom 150 million Americans combined. According to the film Inequality for All, which was narrated and I think written by former Secretary of Labor Robert Reich, the wealth gap in the United States right now is pretty much where it was in 1928, just before the Great Crash of the Great Depression. The wealthiest 1% of Americans own more than a third of our nation's wealth, 35%. While the bottom half of Americans own just 2.5% of our nation's wealth. 2.5%, half of us. In the past 15 years, the annual income of the typical American household has fallen 9%. And meanwhile, since the Great Recession ended in 2009, incomes have exploded. They've only grown by 4% for the bottom 99%, but they've climbed by 31% for the top 1%. Basically, all the benefits, all the growth in income since the Great Crash has gone to the top 1%. So you've got a gap between the nation's rich and the poor, and it's wider than it's ever been, and it hasn't come out of nowhere. This lack of income inequality has been steadily increasing over the past 35 years, and it really began to explode during the Reagan presidency. And because of this, because of these record low levels of equality or high levels of inequality, our country is suffering from a whole bunch of other issues too. Richard Wilkinson and Kate Pickett point this out in this brilliant book, The Spirit Level, and at their website, equalitytrust.org.uk. Countries with higher levels of inequality have more health and more social problems. Higher levels of inequality have higher levels of teenage pregnancy, higher levels of obesity, increased risk of mental illness, more violent crime, higher infant mortality, higher rates of incarceration, lower levels of social mobility, and a lower life expectancy. And when you reduce income inequality, when you raise income equality, you solve all these problems. So what can we do to reduce the record high levels of income inequality in America and create a more level playing field? First, despite what Republicans in Washington are saying, the first thing we need to do is strengthen the social safety net. Forget about Paul Ryan. Oh, we need to voucherize Medicare, throw grandma off the cliff, turn Social Security over to Wall Street. No. Strengthen those programs. Americans living on the edge need some bootstraps to pull themselves up with. Medicaid, food stamps, these are essential programs. They help people get back on their feet. Next, we have to invest more in education so young people can make it when they get into the workplace and don't end up, going into their working lives with a ton of debt. Right now, the U.S. ranks 17th in the world among developed countries when it comes to overall education, 25th in math and science, and that's really, really bad. We also need to take on the loopholes that make our tax system favor the rich by rolling back the Reagan tax cuts. I mean, this is where all the income inequality started in the first place. It's the Reagan tax cuts. Roll them back. This way, the wealthiest people in America will pay their fair share and do their part to support the American economy. And we need to start making corporations pay their fair share too in taxes. You can't let giant transnational corporations make billions while paying next to nothing in taxes. It doesn't make any sense. It's not good for the country. Next, we need to bring back to America the tens of millions of jobs that have been shipped overseas since the beginning of Reaganomics. So how do you do that? Well, it's pretty straightforward. You change your trade policies. No more so-called free trade deals. No more CAFTA, NAFTA, SHAFTA, no more TPP. Do away with it. Go back to a protectionist trade policy. And finally, a business model that depends on screwing workers with pay that's so low that they qualify for food stamps and Medicaid should be nuked. If we just set the minimum wage at what it was in 1968, $10.25 an hour in today's dollars, we'd instantly begin the process of rebuilding the middle class and closing that gap between rich and poor. Minimum wage at $12 an hour, do an even better job of moving us in the right direction. Income inequality is a huge problem in America, but there is a wide variety of things we can do about it. The Republicans are going to fight you on every single one of them, but this is stuff that needs to be done. It's time to, again, as it was from 1935 till 1982, roughly, to again level the American playing field so all Americans have a chance to succeed and so the American middle class can come back.